People gotta understand, beef never dies, it just gets old. That's it.
Ja Rule and 50 Cent are at it again, and this time it got real messy on a Delta flight. Their latest clash popped off when both camps ended up boarding the same plane. 50 wasn't physically there, but Yayo definitely had something to say about it, and his words made noise fast. No matter what almost went down, Ja Rule walked away looking embarrassed, and now he's firing back with a response. Here's how it all unfolded. It's February 8th, 2026, Super Bowl 60 weekend just wrapped in San Francisco. The whole industry showed up. Big parties, wild events, brand deals everywhere, cameras flashing nonstop. Tony Yayo, Uncle Murda, and their circle had been outside all weekend with 50 Cent, moving heavy with draft picks, linking with TikTok stars, sliding into exclusive backstage spots, snapping pics with legends, living that full GUnit lifestyle that comes with being locked in with 50's world. Yayo talked about it on Vlad TV. They were deep all weekend, no breaks, just motion. It felt like a celebration lap. By Sunday morning, it was time to head back to New York. They booked a Delta flight from SFO to JFK. Yayo, Murda, and the crew were all in first class. They boarded early, tossed their bags up top, slid into seats 4C and 4D, and got comfortable for that 5-hour ride home. Smooth, regular travel vibes. Nothing weird. Just another flight after a long weekend. But before they could even fully relax, things shifted fast. Someone at the airport pulled them to the side and dropped a bomb. Ja Rule was booked on the same flight. The energy changed instantly.
If it was in that room, there would be no Ja Rule. There would be no 50. I put that on my phone.
What was supposed to be a calm ride back to New York suddenly felt tense. The mood went from chill to alert in seconds, and everybody knew this wasn't just a random coincidence. So Yayo told Murda, then Murda let the rest of the crew know, but nobody was about to switch flights or avoid anybody. That's not how they move at all.
You know, I don't want to say who told us, but somebody was like, Ja Rule's gonna be on our flight.
Standing down was never an option, and the message was simple. Stay seated and handle it like usual. Now, the GUnit side is posted in first class, fully aware of who's about to walk through that cabin door. They had the advantage because they knew what was coming, and Ja had no idea what he was stepping into. As passengers kept boarding, Yayo started clocking the layout. He noticed the empty seats, just two left, one up front and one directly in front of where he and Murda were sitting. He leaned over and tapped Murda, giving him that look like, yeah, this is about to get interesting.
We not ducking no smoke. I'm not missing a flight home for any.
Then it happened. Ja Rule walked down the aisle of first class alone. No crew, no security, no entourage. Just two bags and a boarding pass in his hand. The second he made eye contact with Yayo, his whole energy shifted. You could see it on him instantly, like he realized this wasn't just another flight.
It'd be crazy if he sit right here in front of us. Lo and behold, give it like 2 minutes. Boom, I see Ja.
Yayo later explained that in their world, seeing one GUnit member automatically makes you wonder who else might be nearby. It's never just one person, and everybody knows that. That kind of tension doesn't need to be explained. It's understood without saying a word.
See me. He spooked. He could tell TMZ, he could tell you, he could tell everybody he was spooked because he only seen me.
Ja ended up sitting in seat 3, right in front of them. Before the plane even started taxiing, he kept turning around asking if everything was cool. We good? We good? Yayo said. The tone didn't sound tough. It sounded like someone trying to read the room and make sure things wouldn't go left mid-air. Uncle Murda wasn't feeling that at all. He shot back and told Ja not to speak to them.
See me, who do you see? You see 50 Cent, you see Uncle Murda, you see some gangster around all the time.
Murda's a Brooklyn guy to the core. And when he raises his voice in a tight space, like a first-class cabin, everybody hears it loud and clear. Heads started turning immediately. The energy in that section of the plane jumped from calm to tense in seconds. Words started flying back and forth. Ja's voice got louder. Murda wasn't backing down.
He wasn't even saying it in an aggressive way. He was like, yo, we good, we good, we good.
Passengers lifted their heads from their phones, trying to figure out what was going on. Flight attendants began moving in, sensing the situation heating up fast. Then things hit another level when Yayo fired off a harsh insult across the seats.
Aggressive shit he talking about? I told that man, suck my...
Loud enough for the entire first class and business cabin to hear. At that point, the confrontation was impossible to ignore. That's when Ja reacted with the only thing he had within reach on a commercial flight. a Delta complimentary pillow.
This nigga throws a pillow. Come on, Ja, you gotta do better.
He grabbed it and tossed it straight at Yayo, knocking his hat clean off and turning the moment into pure chaos right there in first class. Yayo tried to jump up and rush him, but the seatbelt locked him in and yanked him right back into his seat, mid-move. It was almost like the plane itself said, "Not today."
Myself, you know, them seatbelts are sturdy. I tried to get up, and I fell back there.
Murder was already up on the other side of the aisle, stepping in fast, and for a split second, it looked like things were about to turn into a serious situation right there in first class. But the flight attendant shut it down instantly.
Shout out to the stewardess there. He was a gay guy, you know. Nothing against gay people, but the way he shut it down was just, he was like, "Stop!"
Yayo described him as a steward who stepped in with strong authority, no hesitation, and completely took control. He hit the emergency call button, told everyone to quiet down, and the shouting stopped almost immediately. The mood flipped from chaos to strict order in seconds. The crew brought everyone to the front of the plane and spoke to them one by one, asking if they could continue the flight without more drama. Yayo said he was good, walked back to his seat, and stayed calm after that. According to Yayo, Ja was moving different. He said Ja had been texting during the tension, possibly trying to line people up to meet at JFK once the plane landed. Whether that part is accurate or not, the outcome didn't change. Ja ended up removing himself from the flight. Delta later confirmed that 2 passengers were spoken to after a disagreement, and 1 was rebooked on a later flight. That passenger was Ja Rule. And before everything cooled off completely, Yayo made sure to respond in his own way. The pillow Ja threw at him, he tossed it right back. But that plane moment was only the beginning. Once the footage hit the internet, the situation exploded from an in-flight argument into a full cultural spectacle, and the loudest voice in the drama wasn't even on that aircraft. The fallout hit fast. Within hours of that plane touching down, Uncle Murda had the footage up on Instagram for the whole world to see. The first clip showed Ja Rule walking down the aisle toward his seat while Murda narrated in real time, calling him a sucker straight to his face as the camera kept rolling. The energy felt raw and unfiltered. No edits, no polish, just straight tension caught on camera. You could see the tight cabin, the packed overhead bins, and Ja's face frozen in that split-second moment of realization. It didn't feel like a typical rap beef clip. This wasn't staged for promo. This wasn't a music video set. It was a real-life encounter, filmed on an iPhone in first class, and that authenticity made it spread even faster. The second clip told an even louder story. It showed Ja's empty seat after he was removed from the flight. Murda was smiling, clearly proud of the moment, and captioned it, "Ja got off the plane law. I took his seat." That post pushed one clear narrative from the GUnit side. We stayed, he left, and we're laughing about it. It painted the situation like a scoreboard update. By Sunday evening, every major hip-hop blog and entertainment outlet had grabbed the story. The clips were everywhere. Billboard, People, LA Times, Complex, Hip Hop DX. In less than 24 hours, millions of views stacked up. The internet was locked in and choosing sides fast. Then, 50 Cent stepped in and turned it up another level. On February 9th, just one day after the flight, he reposted Uncle Murda's footage to his own Instagram. His caption was Classic 50. He wrote that Ja was by himself, so he had to make a scene so they could remove his scary ass. Then he casually tagged his cognac brand at the end, because even while dragging a rival, he's still thinking business. That post hit the feeds of over 30 million followers instantly. Yayo and Murda jumped in the comments with laughing emojis, and the entire GUnit circle started amplifying the moment. What started as an argument on a plane had now turned into a full online spectacle, and the embarrassment was being broadcast on a massive scale. The comment section turned into a straight war zone overnight. One side was clowning Ja non-stop for the pillow toss, turning it into memes and slow-motion edits. The other side was calling all of them out, saying these are grown men who should know better. It was split right down the middle, and nobody was backing off. But 50 wasn't finished. The trolling had layers to it, and he pushed it even further. He dropped an AI-generated video that mocked Ja Rule with an over-the-top animated version of the plane incident. The clip exaggerated everything and painted Ja as scared and ridiculous in the wildest way possible. It wasn't some random leak. It wasn't something Ja sent to GUnit. It was something 50 created and blasted out to the whole internet about Ja. The video was built for maximum embarrassment and pure virality, and it worked fast. Millions of views stacked up. Reposts hit every major platform. Skull and crying laughing emojis flooded the comments like people were attending a digital roast session. Some fans called it elite trolling, saying 50 was in a league of his own. Others said it looked corny, and beneath someone with his level of success and business power. Either way, it owned the hip-hop news cycle for another full round. And through all that noise, the footage, the reposts, the AI clip, the memes, the headlines, Ja Rule wasn't quiet. On February 10th, he jumped on X and told his side with zero hesitation. His tone didn't sound embarrassed at all. He posted, "I popped on these punks by myself on a plane. LMA pussy ass. I threw the pillow at Yayo head because you saw knocked your hat all off. Was hilarious." He doubled down and made it clear he had no regrets. In another post, he shared a screenshot of a TMZ message asking for his official comment. The message laid out what witnesses reportedly told TMZ: that Ja was identified as the aggressor, that he yelled profanities, that he said he wanted to fight, and that he threw the pillow. Instead of stepping back, he leaned into it, turning the whole situation into another chapter of the feud. The crew stepped in and separated both sides, removing them from the immediate situation on the plane. For a moment, Yayo fired back, reminding everyone that planes are federal territory and saying he hadn't done anything wrong. Meanwhile, Ja posted that TMZ message like it was a badge of honor. His energy came off like, "Yeah, that's what happened. So what?"
He even joked about TMZ hitting him up saying witnesses claim he was loud and aggressive. Ja's response energy was basically, "Yep, and I do it again." No PR statement, no damage control, just straight petty nostalgia.
And that clash in perspectives is what makes this whole situation wild to watch. From the outside looking in, you've got two completely different versions of reality coming from the exact same moment. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda treated the whole thing like content gold. They recorded it, uploaded it, and then broke it all down in detail during a full Vlad TV interview. From the second they got to the airport to the moment Ja's seat was empty, they walked through every beat. For them, this was a clear win. In their eyes, it showed that GUnit still moves with presence, no matter the setting. Even at 30,000 feet, Ja saw it in a totally different way. In his version, he stepped into a tense situation alone. No crew, no backup, just him. He still spoke up. He still threw the pillow. He still said what he felt. To him, being removed from the flight didn't equal defeat. It meant he stood on his own and didn't fold under pressure. Meanwhile, the other side had cameras out, ready to document every second.
Not the club, not the studio, not an award show, a plane, which just proves some rap beefs never expire. They don't age, they just go quiet until seat 23.
Two completely different mindsets. One side framing it as entertainment and a viral moment, the other framing it as taking a stand. And somehow, both sides walked away claiming victory. That's what a 27-year feud looks like when it sparks off in the most random place possible. No one agrees on what really went down, and everybody believes they came out on top. But underneath the jokes, the posts, and the AI clips, Yayo said something on Vlad TV that reminded people this history runs deeper than internet laughs can show. And that part wasn't delivered like comedy. When you go back and listen to what Yayo previously shared about past confrontations, studio arguments, close calls, tense moments behind closed doors with no cameras and no flight crew around, it becomes clear this rivalry didn't start on a plane. The plane was just the latest chapter in something that's been simmering for decades. You have to understand something. The only reason this stayed a pillow incident is because of where it happened.
If it was in that room, there would be no Ja Rule. There would be no 50. I put that on my father. There would be no Ja Rule. There would be no 50.
That's not internet gossip. That's one side explaining what they believe could have gone differently under other circumstances. The message behind it is simple. Back in the early days, both sides moved in environments where tensions didn't always end with soft objects being thrown. In 2026, though, this went down on a commercial aircraft. Federal rules, seatbelt signs lit up, a flight attendant who stepped in fast and wasn't tolerating chaos. On that plane, the most dangerous thing within reach was a complimentary pillow. The location kept the situation contained when emotions were running high. And that reality makes people ask the bigger question. Why hasn't 27 years erased this tension? Why can't Ja Rule and someone connected to GUnit share the same first-class cabin without it turning into a moment? To understand that, you have to rewind all the way back to late 1990s Southeast Queens. That's where the spark first caught fire. Long before social media, before viral clips, before blogs, this was neighborhood history. Prison time didn't erase it, career shifts didn't cool it down, Age didn't smooth it over, distance didn't fix it. Ja Rule and 50 Cent grew up in the same corners of New York, South Jamaica Hollis, the block stretching between Merrick Boulevard and Guy Brewer Boulevard. Those streets weren't thinking about record deals or chart positions, they were shaped by the era before them. Names like Supreme McGriff, Fat Cat Nichols, and Pappy Mason were part of the local history, figures whose reputations echoed through Queens and influenced the culture around them. Both Ja and 50 rapped about that world because they experienced it firsthand. That shared background is what makes every new clash feel deeper than just music. It's layered with history that goes way beyond the stage. For a short window in the late 90s, their paths actually crossed without problems. They were both rising in the same New York scene, building names, moving through the same spaces, and there wasn't open hostility at first. But that calm didn't last. The moment most people point to goes back to 1999. An associate connected to 50 Cent robbed Ja Rule for his chain at gunpoint, while both artists were still grinding locally. Later, Ja saw 50 standing near the person involved, and that's when suspicion started growing. In Ja's mind, that wasn't random. That planted the seed that 50 might have known more than he was saying. 50 has always maintained it wasn't him, but by then, the tension was already alive. Ja brought the issue back to his Murder Inc.'s camp. 50 began feeling distance from people he thought he had good relationships with. Trust cracked, conversations changed, and once that shift happened, both careers started moving in direct opposition instead of parallel lanes. Ja Rule has shared a different version too. He said it really sparked during the Murder for Life video shoot on Jamaica Avenue. According to that angle, 50 felt slighted by how things were handled and didn't like the energy around him. There was also the fact that Irv Gotti had previously passed on 50's demo tape, which added another layer to the tension. Whether it was the chain incident, the video shoot, or business rejection, the outcome was the same. By the end of 1999, Ja Rule and 50 Cent were officially rivals, and it didn't stay verbal for long. There was a fight at a nightclub in Atlanta where both were booked to perform. Chains were grabbed, punches were thrown, the atmosphere was heated. Then on March 24, 2000, things escalated even further. 50 was at the Hit Factory studio in Midtown Manhattan, recording for his album Power of the Dollar. Members of Murder Inc., including Black Child, Irv Gotti, and Chris Gotti, arrived at the studio. A fight broke out inside. During the chaos, Black Child stabbed 50 in the chest and hand. 50 left the building injured, made it to a nearby studio, and was rushed to the hospital. He needed stitches, but the injuries were not life-threatening. Later on, he minimized the incident, referring to the wounds as scratches. Tony Yayo was around during that era, and he later spoke about it on Club Shay. What he described was a situation that could have turned far worse if certain factors had been different. That distinction mattered back then, and it still matters now. The GUnit side has often suggested they were prepared for more serious outcomes than what ultimately happened, which adds another layer to why this rivalry still carries so much weight today. And that mix of restraint and circumstance is likely the only reason things didn't spiral even further at that time. Just 2 months after the Hit Factory incident, in May 2000, 50 Cent was shot 9 times outside his grandmother's house in Queens. He was hit in the hand, arm, hip, both legs, chest, and face. Somehow, he survived. He spent months recovering, and when he came back, his story carried a level of intensity that no record label could have scripted. Federal investigators later linked the shooting to Kenneth Supreme McGriff and people connected to Murder Inc., though no convictions were secured in relation to that case. Still, the impact was massive. That moment didn't just affect 50's health, it reshaped his entire career path. It transformed his public image and locked the tension with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. into something much deeper than competitive music. When 50 signed with Eminem and Dr. Dre and released Get Rich or Die Trying in February 2003, the rivalry exploded onto the global stage. Songs like Back Down and Wanksta weren't subtle. They directly challenged Ja Rule's credibility, questioning his image, his toughness, and even his musical style. It wasn't casual shade. It was pointed and strategic. Ja responded with Loose Change, aiming at 50, Eminem, and even referencing Eminem's daughter Haley, which pulled Eminem fully into the conflict. That led to Hail Mary, featuring 50 Eminem and Busta Rhymes over a reworked Tupac instrumental. The record was aggressive and direct, becoming one of the most talked about diss tracks of that era. Ja followed up with Blood in My Eye, keeping the rivalry active and highly visible in hip-hop culture. Later that same year, Ja Rule released an entire album positioned as a direct strike at GUnit. It was framed like a weapon in musical form, but commercially it struggled. The momentum he once had with platinum hits like Always on Time, Mesmerize, and Put It On Me started fading fast. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Right as the rivalry was dominating headlines, federal agents raided Murder Inc.'s offices in 2003 during a money laundering investigation tied to Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Irv and Chris Gotti were indicted. They were acquitted in 2005, but the damage to the label's reputation and operations was heavy. The infrastructure cracked, the buzz shifted, and Ja Rule's career felt the impact. Album sales slowed down, and the spotlight wasn't shining the same way anymore. By 2011, Ja was serving concurrent sentences for weapons possession and tax evasion connected to more than $3 million in unreported income. When he was released in 2013, the music landscape had changed. The industry had evolved, and reclaiming that early 2000s dominance wasn't simple. Meanwhile, 50 Cent moved in a completely different direction. He expanded far beyond music. GUnit Records laid the foundation, but business moves like the Vitamin Water deal reportedly brought in hundreds of millions. Then came the Power television franchise, which grew into one of cable's biggest brands. Add in publishing, film production, liquor ventures, audio products, and multiple partnerships, and his portfolio kept expanding. He positioned himself as a full-scale entrepreneur, not just a rapper from Queens, but no matter how large his business empire became, the rivalry never fully disappeared. In 2018, 50 purchased 200 front-row tickets to a Ja Rule concert and left the seats empty. The stunt went viral and became a symbol of how far the pettiness could go. He also publicly commented on Ja's connection to the Fyre Festival controversy, posted about his ticket sales, referenced his legal history, and questioned his relevance. It became a recurring pattern. Every few months, it seemed like 50 found a new angle to revisit the rivalry online, and each time, Ja responded. Decades later, the back and forth still finds new life, proving that even with time, success, setbacks, and reinventions, this feud continues to resurface in headlines and on timelines alike. That's the real backdrop behind what happened on that Delta flight. When Ja Rule looked up and saw Tony Yayo sitting in seat 4D, he wasn't seeing some random passenger. He was seeing a longtime affiliate of the man he's been battling for over 2 decades. In that moment, history walked onto the plane with him. The memories of career clashes, public jokes, viral stunts, and endless online posts don't just disappear because it's a travel day. And when Yayo looked at Ja, he wasn't just seeing a former chart-topping artist heading home. He was seeing someone tied to years of rivalry, past confrontations, and moments that shaped the direction of GUnit's rise. He was seeing history too. That's why the tension felt bigger than the object that got thrown. It wasn't about a pillow, it was about everything attached to the names involved. So when a pillow flies across first class in 2026, it doesn't land lightly. It carries the weight of 1999, 2000, 2003, and every headline since. The setting may change. The intensity may look different. The tools shift from sharp lyrics to social media clips, from studio clashes to AI-generated trolling. But the core feeling, that hasn't faded. Time doesn't automatically erase old wounds, especially when both sides still speak on them publicly. Yayo touched on that during his Vlad TV appearance. He boiled down decades of tension into one blunt explanation. Then on Club Shay, when Shannon Sharp asked him why he still takes shots at Ja after all these years, he didn't dress it up. He didn't turn it into a lecture. He didn't soften it for the cameras. He answered straight. There wasn't any hint of reconciliation in his tone. No hidden olive branch. Just a clear message that, from his perspective, the issue never expired. And that mindset explains why even a chance meeting in a first-class cabin can spark headlines. It doesn't seem to matter how much time passes, how old they get, or how far their careers evolve. Studio, stage, social media, or seat 4D on a Delta flight. When those names cross paths, the tension shows up too. For them, it's never just small talk, it's history stepping into the same space again. 50 Cent said it himself years ago. It ain't over till one of us gone. And looking at everything, the plane, the pillow, the footage, the AI video, the X posts, the Vlad TV breakdown, and 27 straight years of tension, it's hard to argue with that. These aren't young rookies anymore. They're men in their late 40s and early 50s. They've got children, businesses, investments, and legacies that stretch way beyond music. On paper, this should have cooled off a long time ago. Success, time, and growth are supposed to smooth things out. But the second they're breathing the same recycled air in a first-class cabin, it feels like 2003 all over again. The setting changes, but the energy doesn't. Studios turn into airplanes, fists turn into pillows, diss tracks turn into Instagram reels, street arguments turn into AI-generated comedy clips. The props look different, the platform is bigger, but the feeling underneath, still the same heat. It doesn't evolve, it doesn't mellow with age, it doesn't quietly fade into history. It just keeps circling back again and again, like a loop nobody's figured out how to shut off, and maybe nobody even wants to, because at this point, it's bigger than songs and sales. This isn't about who had the better verse. It's not about chart positions. It's about pride. It's about memory. It's about two sides from the same Queen's background who took different routes and never found common ground again. That's why people keep watching. That's why every small moment turns into a headline. And if you're ever flying Delta from the West Coast to JFK, you might want to glance around first class before you settle in, because history clearly travels too. If you made it this far, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who remembers how deep this rivalry runs. Drop a comment below and tell me, does this ever end, or is this feud really forever?